Hello, and welcome to MuniCode Agenda Manager training. Today we'll be going over the basics of logging into MuniCode, creating a meeting, submitting items, and building your agenda and packet. To get started, we will first need to navigate to meetings.municode.com, which is this link up in the browser URL. This link will also be provided to you in the training documents. Once you are at meetings.municode.com, you will see the following page, and you will need to select the Sign In with Microsoft option on the right-hand side. When I select Sign In with Microsoft, a new window will pop open for me to select my account. Now, if you've signed in before, you will see this Pick an Account option. If you've never signed in before, it will ask you to enter your email. When signing in, please use your co.larimer.co.us email and be sure to use your Microsoft password. So I'm going to select my account, and when prompted for my password, I will enter that and select Sign In. You will be asked if you want to stay signed in, and if you select yes, this will streamline the process in the future so you don't have to enter all that information. However, if you select no, you will need to both pick your account and enter your password when you log in the future. For right now, I'm going to select no. And once you make that selection, MuniCode is going to log you in to the full system. So once you are logged into MuniCode, you will see this home screen and you'll know you're in the correct area when you see Inbox-Larimer County, Colorado up in the upper left-hand corner. Now, to get familiar with the screen before you, we're going to explain each of the buttons along the top. So this bell-shaped icon is for all of your notifications. When you have a notification, a red icon will appear here in the corner telling you that you have a new notification. When you select this button, you will be able to expand those notifications and see what those are, which will also dismiss them. This next button is for agenda item templates. This is not something that we will be using, so you can ignore this button. This third button is your local settings. These are set at a global level for all of our users, and there are some that you are able to edit. For now, we recommend leaving these as is. This question mark button is your help button. So if you ever need follow-up training or other documentation to help you with MuniCode, you can certainly select this help option, which will take you to this help center. So there are additional training videos, knowledge base articles, help information, and release notes in case you need any additional support or information relating to MuniCode. Finally, this power button in the very far right-hand side will log you out of the system. So if you need to log out to log back in or log out for good, you will select log out. We also want to make sure that you're aware of the left-hand menu. So starting at the top, we do have an add item button, which we will go through in a little bit to show you how to add an item into the system. The home button will return you to this screen if you ever get lost or need to return to the main menu. The item list will show you all of the items that you or other users have submitted based off of the filter criteria you've selected. Create Meeting is only available to the agenda managers with the right permissions to create the meetings for their boards. And the meeting list is going to show you all of the meetings that you have the ability to see so that you can go in and edit those meetings after they've been created. And we will go into all of these buttons more in depth in just a few minutes. So before we jump in to creating our meeting, submitting our items, and publishing our agenda, we just want to take care of a few housekeeping items. So first and foremost, the main part of what's going to change is your process to build and publish your agendas. How you get your agenda items will more or less stay the same. So you will still receive emails from other department members or board members with items for your agenda, but the building and publishing of that agenda will be done exclusively in MuniCode. And finally, when logging into MuniCode, please use one of these supported browsers, which are Chrome, Firefox, Edge, Safari, and Opera, and please avoid Internet Explorer because that is not supported by MuniCode. All right, let's take a look at creating a meeting. All right, so we're going to create our first meeting in MutiCode. In order to do that, you will select the Create Meeting in the left-hand menu. When creating a meeting, you can select the meeting type in order to autofill the meeting name. So for example, I will select the Open Lands Advisory Board, and when I select that meeting type, that meeting name automatically changes. For our purposes today, I'm going to add test to the beginning of the meeting name so I can very clearly tell which meeting we are working on today. Under the venue, you can select whether this meeting will be held in person or whether this will be held on Zoom or other online formats. As far as the recurrence, we typically recommend starting with single meetings, especially as we're working through the templates and meeting types. As we get more solidified in those, we can open up and start scheduling weekly or monthly recurrence meeting. However, we do want you to be aware that only use these recurring meetings after the template is completely set up. Once those recurring meetings are scheduled, any changes to the templates are not applied, so those changes would not make it to your already scheduled meetings. And we also want to note that recurring meetings or meetings scheduled out in the future will show up on the web page once it's fully linked. So we are asking to only schedule 1 year's worth of meetings at a time, since all of these are going to be available on the web page. And finally, we also want to mention that when creating your meeting type, and especially in the meeting title, please do not use any symbols such as the and sign, since these will not format correctly. So please spell out all the words completely to make sure that everything pulls across to the agenda correctly. And then finally, you can also change the date and time of your meeting using these modals. So I will select the calendar icon and put this on Monday, May 10th. And we will do this at, well, you have a bunch of options for all of these. So I'm going to go to the PMs and we will do this at 1 p.m. And I'll go ahead and select create once I have all of the correct options for the meeting. All right, and once you're back to this page, it's going to show you that one meeting has been created and which meeting that is. In order to find that meeting, we will go to the meeting list in our left-hand menu. When you first open this up, you might not see anything, and that's okay. What that means is that your filters have not been selected up here at the top. So I'm going to select this caret dropdown, which is going to open the filters that I have selected. Now, a couple of things to note: whatever you have selected on your filters will stay selected. So even if you log out and log back in, your previous search is going to still be what is currently filtered. So if you're looking for, say, a different meeting type, you'll need to make sure that you select all of the ones that you're looking for or only the other one. So in this example, I will select the Open Lands Advisory Board and deselect the Land Stewardship Board. And I can also change the date range, look up a specific meeting name, or whether the meeting is locked or unlocked. For this purposes, I'm okay with this date range, the locked or unlocked, and this is the meeting type that I'm looking for. So I will click the search button in order to apply that filter. And here we're able to see the exact meeting that we just created, which is the Test Open Lands Advisory Board. Now, to actually open this meeting, all you have to do is hover over the meeting until you see the red box and then click on it. And this is going to open up the actual meeting itself. Okay, now that we have our meeting created, we are also going to take a little bit of time to first add some items. So this step is needed in order to add items to the agenda. So first we need to submit the items into MutiCode. In order to do that, we will select the red Add Item button up in the left-hand corner. When I select Add Item, it's actually going to turn gray, so that's how you know that you're in this area. It's going to ask you to enter some data about this item. So first and foremost, you will need to enter the name. And for this example, I'm going to be entering some draft minutes for approval. And we do want to create a very specific name for each item so that these are easy to find and search against, because you are going to be searching the name of each item when you're trying to find them again. So again, we do want these to be very clear, very easy to discern. For this example, this is going to be the draft minutes for approval from January 1st, 2021. We also want to make sure that we do not have any symbols in the title, such as the and symbol or others that will cause the formatting to not look correct when creating the agenda. So again, please make sure to spell out everything completely using very clear descriptors. You will then select the meeting type that you would like to submit this item for. This will allow you to submit items to a specific meeting, and then in the future, you can decide which meeting you would like to bring this item onto the agenda form. For this example, we're going to select the Open Lands Advisory Board. And then you will need to upload the attachment. So you can either drop a file in here if you have a file ready, or you can select the upload button. So I'm going to pull in my test document. And once that's all ready and uploaded, I can then hit submit. You'll know that it has successfully submitted because you will get a little notification that that job is complete. Now, to find the item that we've just created, we can go to our item list. When I select the item list on the left-hand menu, this is going to bring up a similar search to the meeting list. So this does show me the item I just created, but if it didn't, I can also use the same filter dropdown. So when I select this caret icon, this is going to give me a lot of options or different ways to search and find different items. So you can look for items that have been assigned or unassigned to a specific meeting. We are going to ignore the workflow state since these do not apply to our meetings. You can also look specifically for an item name, and this is where those very clear descriptors come in handy, so you can search specifically for the name. And you can also search for when it was created, either before or after a specific date or between those dates. You can also look for whether it is part of a locked or unlocked meeting and the specific meeting type to which that item applies. And for this example, I will also select Open Lands Advisory Board. And finally, the additional search criteria you get when looking for items is who the item was created by. So in some situations, there are multiple users who can submit items to a particular board. For most of our boards, this will also be handled by the agenda manager. So these will likely be created by you. So a lot of these items will be likely sent to you outside of the system, whether via email or some other form, and then you will be expected to upload them into this system following these same steps. So you can look for your own name if you're having trouble finding your items or needing a faster way to search for them. And when you're done selecting your search criteria, you can select this red search button, which is then going to apply that to all of your items. And so when I do that, again, I see this 121 draft minutes for approval. And if there are any edits or changes to make on the item, you can select it when this red box is over or around the item, and then see what's actually in the item. So when you click into the item, you'll be taken to the item screen. That's going to show you the data on the item that you can then edit. So here we have the name, the 1/1/21 draft minutes for approval that we entered before. And if you click into this box, it will highlight blue that you can then edit or make any changes as needed. You can also change the meeting type for the item by selecting this drop-down menu and one of the other meeting types that you have permission to submit to. I'm going to leave this one on Open Lands Advisory Board. And if you do make any changes to these, you will need to select Update to make sure that those changes are saved on the item. As far as these three buttons on the Data tab, the first is whether you want to lock or unlock the item. So right now the item is unlocked, meaning that other users with the correct permissions are able to come in and modify the item if they have the correct settings. However, if I do not want them to edit anything on this item, I can choose to click this button to lock the item. So it will give you a warning asking you if you are sure that you want to lock the item. And for this example, I'm going to say yes. We don't want anyone else editing this, which is going to lock down all of the other options. So all those other boxes and other buttons did disappear, so those are not able to be edited. And when I'm finished with the item being locked, I can select that same button again to unlock the item. So that same warning is going to come up. And when I'm ready to unlock, I can select yes, which will bring all of those options back. There is also a button to copy an item. So if you're interested in copying the entire item, you can select this button to do so. And if you end up not needing this item or having to delete it completely, there is also a delete item option to completely be rid of this item. I did want to take a second to look at the workflow commands box and make sure that you're all aware that this does not apply to any boards or commissions, so you can completely ignore that workflow commands box. So coming down to the agenda content box, here is one option for how you would like this item to come into your agenda. So here you see enter text here, and if we leave this as is, that text will come over to the agenda, which you can also edit in the meeting, or you also have the option to edit this here in this box. So for this example, I'm going to enter the draft minutes for approval from 1/1/21, and I will select update in order to save that change. And you will see a confirmation in blue again once you have selected update, and that has saved. And one thing to note is that when you make changes directly in this box, you absolutely must select update in order for them to save. There is another option up here in the right-hand corner to upload a Word document. So if you would like to upload a Word document, you can absolutely do so, and it will bring all that information into this box. However, in the event that you choose to upload a document, you will not hit the update button. That will actually revert the changes and not save the changes from your Word document. So you'll only select upload and then you will leave it there. Finally, at the bottom of our item, we also have the attachments. And so this is the attached document that I uploaded the first time. There are a couple of options as far as editing or changing this document if needed. First is the check out and check in function. So this is a great option for any of you who want to have a kind of trail to all of the edits or changes that occur on an item. So if I need to edit this document, I can select check out, which is going to give me a couple more options. So here I see that I can cancel the checkout. So if for some reason I selected that by accident, I can cancel that. And it also gives me the option to check back in and to see the document history. So before I select those two buttons, I will first download the Word document that I need to make edits to. So I'm going to select that Word icon, which is going to download my agenda into Word, or my agenda item into Word. This is my test item for today. And so I'm going to add a test 1, 2, 3. And I'll even make this bold so that it stands out so we can see that update. I'm going to save as to make sure that this is a new document into a place that I absolutely can find very easily. And I'll close that. Now I can come back into the item and check it back in. And when I go to check that document back in, it's going to give me a prompt to select which document I would like to upload. I'll select the document that we changed and saved and select open, which is going to upload that document and let me know that it's checking it in. And once it's complete, it's going to go back to that same checkout button that was there prior. Now I have the option to see the document history. And when I select this button, it will show me all of the versions of this document that have been uploaded. This is really handy, especially for seeing who and when these changes occurred, especially if there are multiple agenda managers or liaisons who are helping to manage this process. Finally, you can also decide where this item is included in your packets. So automatically, the item is included in all packets, which you can see with this green checkbox icon. If I click this icon, it's going to change to a gray X, which means that it's excluded from all packets. So the item will now not go into any of the packets. If I click this button again, it will show a locked icon, and that is actually the private packet icon. So that means that this item will only be included in the private packet. And if I click it one more time, it will give me the public packet only option. So again, this item would then only be included in the public packet. And you can click it one final time to bring it back to the first option, which is to include this item in all of the packets. So you have that option for each item, whether you want to include it in all packets, only the private or only the public, or in none of them if that's a requirement. Finally, there is also a delete document option. So if you delete the wrong document, or if you need to upload a different one, you can also delete this one and start over. And if you need to upload multiple documents, you do still have the option at the very bottom to upload a second, third, or additional documents as needed. And if you're looking to find other items, you can return back to that item list and change your filters to find additional items. Another quick way to find the items that you've recently looked at is this recent items list. Now this is in a light gray on the left-hand side, and when I select recent items, it's going to show me what I have most recently submitted and looked at within MuniCode. So here again, I see the 1/1/21 draft minutes for approval, which I can click on and will take me right straight to that item. Similarly, I can select also the Test Open Lands Advisory Board meeting to quick take me back to that meeting. So this is a really fast way to navigate between different items and different meetings that you have recently been on, since this is going to keep a record of everything that you've recently viewed. Okay, now that we have our meeting created and items submitted, we are now ready to take a look at our Open Lands Advisory Board test meeting and start building our agenda and packet. So when I open our test meeting, we will see the name, date, time, venue, and meeting type that we selected up on the top half of the screen. And if any of these need to be edited, you can click into these boxes, which will highlight with a light blue color, and you can make your edits in there. Once you are done making edits, please select the update button in order to save any changes. If you do not select update, no changes will be saved. So just make sure that you select that button to keep all of the changes that you made. There is an option to lock and unlock your meeting. This is very similar to locking and unlocking an item. For now, we're going to leave this meeting unlocked so that we can make all the edits and changes that we need to. You have the option when you're finished editing the meeting to lock the meeting. This means that any person or any other user is not able to make any changes or edits to your meeting. You can then unlock the meeting if you do need to make additional changes. There is also an option to delete your meeting. We're not going to touch this button for now while we're changing our meeting, but we'll touch on this in just a few minutes. Finally, this section over here on the right-hand side, all of these columns show you where your meeting and where all of your documents are at in the process. So right now we can see that every single one of these icons is grayed out. So what that means is that none of these documents have been created. So none of the agenda, private packet, public packet, minutes, or in-meeting information have been created. And none of these have been published to the website either. So if they're grayed out, it means that none of these have been created yet. So we're going to look at the second half of our screen. This is called the Build tab. So this is where we're going to spend a lot of our time really focusing on the structure of our agenda. We'll then look to the Review and the Output tabs to finish and publish this agenda. So again, starting here on the Build tab, this is where we determine exactly which sections and section headers are part of our agenda. This is also where we add all of those items that we submitted to our agenda as well. So when looking at the sections of our agenda, here we can see what each of them is called. So if I hover over Call to Order, I will see the name Call to Order. And if I click into that box, it's going to highlight a light pink or light orange color and allow me to make changes into this box. So if I need to rename Call to Order to something else, I can highlight those words and change that section header to something different. For right now, I do want to leave this as call to order, so I will leave that where it is, and we will instead look at some of these buttons next to the section. So the first option is to copy a section. So I will select this to see what it does, and it's going to give us an exact copy of the section that we picked. So in this example, this is a copy of call to order. So it's going to take the exact same name and put copy of in front of it. It's also going to take the exact same formatting and all of the identical information that was under that first section and duplicate it under this second section. So if I need a secondary section, or if I need a similar section, I can copy one, make the changes that are necessary to it, and then I have a new section. However, if you need to be doing this frequently or always needing a new section, we do recommend reaching out to our team who can set up this new section for you as a standard as part of your template. For this example, I actually don't need this duplicate, so I'm actually going to select this red delete section button, which is going to get rid of that duplicate. When making any changes to your sections or agenda, be sure to hit apply to make sure those changes are saved. So I'm going to start cleaning up these sections just a little bit since we don't need quite so many. For example, we do not need the public comment section, so I'm going to delete that section. And we also do not need the agenda review section, so I'll delete that section. We do not need information announcements or update and reports, so I'll delete both of these. And as we can see, our screen is starting to shrink to fit the number of sections that we have on our agenda. Finally, I will also delete other business and executive session to get us down to our very simplistic agenda format. One thing we do want to note is that you do need to keep at least one section in your agenda. This is necessary for formatting, especially when we get to publishing this agenda to the webpage. So please make sure you keep at least one of these sections in your agenda at all times. So here on the right-hand side of our screen, we have all of the items that have been submitted for this meeting. So here we can see that this is under the Open Lands Advisory Board. So if I was looking for a different meeting type of items, I can change that if needed. This is the correct one, so I'm going to leave it on Open Lands Advisory Board. And I do want to note that there are a couple of different button icons here at the top. Those are related to workflows, so that is not something that you need to pay attention to at this time. What's important is to make sure that you have the correct items identified and added to the right sections of your agenda. So for this example, we want to add this 1/1/21 draft minutes for approval to the review and approval of last minutes. To do that, I will select the correct section header, which is the review and approval of last minutes. When I select it, it will hover a light to red color. And then I will navigate to the correct item and select this green assign button. When I do that, the 1/21 draft minutes for approval was moved under the review and approval of last minutes section. If this was not moved to the right section for some reason, I can select the item and then select the green button again to unassign. And that's going to move my item back to this holding area and off of the agenda. Since that wasn't the right section, I am going to move the minutes back. And in addition, we're going to add this example agenda item under discussion items. So again, I'll select the discussion items header and the green arrow next to example agenda item. And that's going to assign the item underneath that section header. Now, once I have all of my sections in the right order, I have all of my sections pared down to just what I need them to be, and also have all of my items added to the correct sections, I am then going to hit apply. This is crucial to making sure that your agenda is updated and saved in the correct order. If you forget to hit the apply button, your changes will not be saved. So remember to apply, and even to apply multiple times to make sure that all of your changes are saved to your agenda. All right, once we're happy with our layout and our formatting, we're then going to move to the Review tab. And the Review tab is very handy for reviewing and verifying all of the sections and attachments in your agenda, as well as all the detailed content and formatting for each of those items. So what we will do is click through each section and make sure we have the correct content. For this example, under Call to Order, we want to make sure that we add our public Zoom registration, that we have the correct contact information, and any other call to order content that we may want to publish as part of our agenda. We do want to note as well that similar to our other agenda items, you can import into this agenda content box by using this upload section from a Word document. If you do upload from a Word document, you will select this icon and then select your Word document, which will import all of your information. If you go this route, do not hit the update button. Again, if you upload, you do not need to hit update, as that's actually going to wipe out your changes and revert them back to normal. If you make your changes directly in this agenda content box, then you can go ahead and click update, which will save all of your changes. So we'll keep moving through our agenda list and make sure that all of our sections and items have the correct content. So here we see the content that we added to our draft minutes for approval. This is what we added directly into the item to make sure that this content pulled over to the agenda. In comparison, we have this example agenda item where we did not add any text, and by default, edit text here will display. For this example, I'm going to update this to say example agenda item to make it a little bit more clear as to what this item is, and I will select update to make sure those changes are saved. You can also see here at the bottom which attachments are included with this item. So we do see that there is a Word document and a PDF. And I also wanted to note that there is the option to move up and move down each of your attachments. So if you need your attachments to be in a particular order, you can move those from this Review tab. So you can move those up or back down depending on where those need to be. Finally, we'll close out by making sure that the rest of our sections and content look good. And as long as that's the case, we'll then move to our Output tab. And finally, here on the Output tab is where all of our hard work is going to come to light. So this is actually where you're going to be creating your documents, so both your agenda and packets, and actually publishing them to the website. So in order to do that, we're going to start by selecting Create Agenda. And when I click that button, Unicode is going to run some processes in the background to create our lovely Word document. Now we recommend selecting this Word document icon first to make sure that you can review and sign off on how your agenda looks before publishing to the website. So here it will download as a Word document. And when I open that up, it's going to show me exactly how my document is going to publish to the website. So I do see my header, my agenda template, as well as all of that information that we added to the agenda, including the individual items and descriptions that we added. Now, for this example, I'm not a huge fan of this description or this content information, so I'm going to go back into my agenda and fix these before we publish it. So I'm going to close out of Word and head back to the Review tab. Now this is on that example agenda item, and I really wasn't fond of this wording. So I'm actually going to change this to Agenda Item Review on May 11th, 2021. It's a little bit more descriptive. We know at least when we're going to be taking a look at this item. And I've also learned since creating this item that this PDF document actually needs to come first in our attachments. So I'm going to move this PDF up to the first position and select Update to make sure that my changes are applied to the agenda. After I'm finished editing and updating, I will head back to Output, and this time I will select Recreate Agenda in order for it to start from scratch and pick up those changes that I made. So when I select Recreate, Municode is going to run its process again, and I will have the option to download this document as a Word document. So I will download the agenda and open this up. And here I can see the changes that I made have been saved and brought into this new agenda. So it now says Agenda Item Review for May 11th, 2021, which is much more descriptive and exactly what I was looking for. So as long as I'm happy with the agenda, we can go ahead and keep moving ahead. But we do want to mention as well that there is another option that if you do need to make additional edits in the Word document, you can save it and upload it as a modified document. What this means is that Municode will read exactly the document that you import and take those changes into the PDF. We do recommend as much as possible to head back to the Review tab first and make those changes in your agenda. In the off chance that you have to recreate, then all of those changes will be saved and brought into your new agenda, and you won't have to go this modified document route again. So we do recommend that you make your changes in the Review tab and then recreate your agenda. But if you absolutely have to, there is also the option to upload a modified Word document as well. So once we're happy with our Word document, we will go ahead and convert this to PDF. So Municode's going to run its process again in the background, taking all of that hard work that you've created and turning it into a PDF. And you can also select this PDF document option to sign off on it before you publish. So again, you can see a preview, make sure that all of the formatting looks exactly how you would like this to look. And as long as everything looks good and exactly how you expected, then you can come back to Municode and select this Publish button. When I do that, this little globe icon is going to turn green. And what that means is that it has published to the website, or it has at least pushed the document to the website, and that process is in progress for the document to now show up on your board's webpage. If you need to make any changes or edits to a published agenda, you can also unpublish. So when I select unpublish, that globe is going to turn back to a red color, meaning that it is not connected to the web page any longer. And then I can go back into the Review tab and make all the edits to my agenda as necessary. So whatever changes to the sections or items that I need, I can do and come back to the Output tab before recreating, converting, and publishing again. So publishing and unpublishing from the website is very simple, very easy, and something that you can control to make sure that your agendas and packets do look exactly how you need them to look. So finally, I will select Publish again, just to finish this process. And here we can see up at the top of our screen where we are at with all of our documents. So underneath the agenda column, we do see that we have both a Word and PDF version of our agenda created. And this green globe icon tells us that the PDF has been published to the website. These other columns are still grayed out, meaning that we haven't quite gotten to these yet, but the agenda is complete. The next step is to create and publish the packet. So down here next to the word agenda, you have the option for both a private packet and a public packet. The private packet is indicated by this little lock icon, and the private packet is typically reserved for non-public boards or for sharing with a very specific group of users. This is useful for creating the packets because this way all of your documents are kept together in one location, and it's very easy for you to build all of this into a single packet that's very uniform and fits exactly how the public packet will work, but with the appropriate information. I will now demonstrate how to create the public packet. When selecting the public packet, you will get the option to create the PDF. I'm going to select that option, which will encourage Municode to run its process. So after I create the PDF, I'll get the option to download the PDF document. So when I select this PDF document icon, it's going to download and open the packet for me. And here I can see exactly what the packet will look like for the public. So this starts with the meeting agenda. So it does still have the exact meeting information and template as the original agenda. However, there is the additional information of these item attachments. So here we can see the minutes for approval from 1/1/21 has a hyperlink for the attachment. So this takes us to the actual document that's been uploaded as part of that item. And if I come back to the agenda and select the agenda item review, this will take me first to that PDF document that we uploaded, followed by the Word document. So again, this will show the exact agenda and then all of the attachments included with each item, which together makes the packet. As long as these are in the exact order and look exactly how we expect them to look, then we can go ahead and publish the packet as well. When I publish the packet, I will then see this globe icon also turn to green. And similarly, up above underneath the packet column, we can then see that the PDF document has been created and has also been published to the website. Similarly to the agenda, if you need to unpublish the packet, you can also select this Unpublished Packet button, which will turn the globe back to this red icon, meaning that it has been removed to the website and is no longer published. I'm going to republish so we can see that it has been complete. And we do want to note that if you do not have a specific packet or you do not typically create packets, we are asking you to create a packet going forward. What this does is helps create transparency between us and the public and lets everyone know that even if this is just the agenda with no additional items, that this is all of the information that's available in conjunction with this board. So please publish the packet, even if you have no additional items or attachments, to make sure that this is included on the webpage. Finally, under the Audio Video tab, this is related to other meeting types within the system and not related to boards and commissions. So you can ignore this tab and you will spend all of your time either on the build, review, or output tabs. So what you saw as part of training was how to add draft minutes for approval to an upcoming meeting. What we'll show next is how to add approved minutes to a completed meeting. So in the future, once your meeting is complete and you have approved minutes, you will navigate to the completed meeting, which for this example is our Test Open Lands Advisory Board, and to the Output tab. Under the Output tab, you will then select Minutes, followed by Create Minutes. After MuniCode runs its process, you will then have the option to upload a modified document. You will select Upload Modified Document, which will prompt you to then select the correct document to import. So I'm going to select my example document, which MuniCode is going to read and process and bring in as the minutes. And I can go ahead and convert that to PDF. You can verify what this looks like by downloading the PDF document. And that is exactly how my example document looks, so I know that this is correct. So if I close this, I can then come back to MuniCode and go ahead and publish the minutes. Once I publish, that globe icon is going to turn green. And again, up here at the top of my screen, I can see under the minutes column that both the Word and PDF documents have been created, and this has been published to the website. Now that we know how to create a meeting and an agenda, we now need to know the steps to follow in case a meeting is canceled. It is important to note that if you do have a canceled meeting, you are still required to publish an agenda that states the meeting is canceled and when the next scheduled meeting will take place. To do so, First, navigate to the meeting that has been canceled. For this example, this is our Test Open Lands Advisory Board meeting. The first thing you will need to do is to change the name of the meeting. So you will still leave the name as it typically is, and you will add in parentheses canceled at the end of the name. You can also add this to the venue to make this very clear to all public members who may see this. I will then click Update to save those changes. On the bottom half of our screen is the Build tab. So here is where we're going to clean up our agenda to make sure that we have all of our items removed. So I'm going to select our draft minutes for approval and this green unassigned arrow to take this item off of our agenda. We're going to do the same with this example agenda item. So I'll select this green arrow again, which will move all of our items to this holding area on the right side of our screen. This means that all of your items will be saved for future use, so you can use these on your next meeting or any future meetings that you have coming up. This will also make sure that any of your items are not accidentally published on this packet, which should not have anything since this meeting is canceled. We can also review all of our agenda sections to make sure that these are relevant to our canceled meeting. I'm going to remove everything that we don't need. So I'm going to remove review and approval of last minutes, discussion items, and action items. We can see that I can't remove this call to order. And if I drop this down a section, I can actually remove this. So I'm going to go ahead and remove that as well as adjournment. But I'm going to make sure that I keep one section left on my agenda. Reminder, you do need to keep at least one section to make sure that the formatting on your agenda does stay consistent. For our canceled meetings, we're going to leave this as next meeting schedule so that all the public and anybody who's curious can know when our next meeting will be held. Finally, I'm going to hit apply to make sure that all of those agenda sections and items are saved in the correct spot. So my canceled meeting should look like the following. Only one section that has when the next scheduled meeting will be, and no items. All of the items are over on the right-hand side in this holding area. Since this looks good, I'm going to go ahead on to the Review tab. Underneath the Review tab, I'm going to make sure I have when our next meeting is scheduled. This is going to be in June, so I'm going to add this for June 16th, 2021, and click Update to save that information. You can reformat this content section if necessary. Finally, we'll head to the Output tab where we're going to recreate and republish our agenda and packet. So here I'm going to create the agenda. We'll download the Word document just to make sure that this is formatted properly. And here we can see this new version took out all of those other sections and other agenda items that we removed. So this looks great. And it also says canceled in the location and in the board name. So it's very clear to anybody who's looking that this meeting has been canceled. Since this looks good, I'm going to convert it to PDF. I'll double check the PDF just to make sure everything came across correctly, which it looks like it did. And then finally, I'm going to publish this new updated agenda. Now that the globe is green, I know that it's now available on the website. And for good practices, I'll go ahead and create and publish the packet as well. Again, the packet is only going to have the exact same meeting agenda and no additional attachments since this meeting has been canceled, but this is transparent to the public so that they know that nothing has been missed. And there you have it. Here at the top, we can verify that both the Word and PDF versions of the agenda have been created, as well as the PDF being published to the website. And the public packet has been created and published to the website as well. So now everyone knows that our meeting has been canceled and when our next meeting is scheduled. The last steps that we'll walk through are how to delete a meeting out of Municode. Now, this is something you will not have to do very often, mostly while testing and training in the system and learning how to use Municode, but we want to make sure that we walk through and also explain what it means to actually delete a meeting. So the first thing that we'll want to do is review the Build tab of the meeting that we would like to delete. For this example, we are looking at the Test Open Lands Advisory Board meeting, and this is the Build tab underneath that meeting. Here we can see that there are two different items, draft minutes for approval and example agenda item, that are part of this meeting agenda. What we want to do is to make sure that all of these items are taken off of the agenda and are removed. That's important because when we delete this meeting, all items and attachments will also be deleted. So we want to keep these items for the future or for a different meeting. So I'm going to want to move these off of the meeting and make sure that they are not deleted. So we're going to select the draft minutes for approval and this green unassigned button, which is going to move the item to this holding area and off of the meeting agenda. We'll do the same thing for this example agenda item by selecting this green unassigned button. And what this is going to do is save these two items for future use. So I can add these to future meetings, and I will be very confident that once I delete this meeting, that these items will be available for the future. So I'm going to hit apply to make sure that my meeting is saved and that all of those items are taken off the agenda. And I'm also going to review my output tab to make sure that nothing has been published, which it doesn't look like it has, so that's great. We'll come back to the Build tab, make sure that everything has still been removed. There are not any items. And so we're looking really good. Everything's been unpublished. All of the items have been saved in the holding area. And I'll hit apply one last time to make sure we've got everything in the right spot. And the last step is to select this red X to delete the meeting. So directly underneath the meeting type, we'll select this delete meeting option, which is going to give us a warning box to make sure that we definitely want to delete this meeting. And so since we do, I'll go ahead and select delete. And it's going to tell you that the meeting was not found. This does mean that the meeting has been deleted, and you can double check by opening your recent items, and you will see that that meeting is no longer available for selection. So if you need a new meeting, you will go back to create meeting and start that process fresh.